We begin the news now at this hour in Nigeria's southwest state, Delta State, where the governor, Sheriff Oboriwori, has expressed outrage over the brutal attack on military personnel in Okuama community. In a strongly worded statement, Governor Oboriwori condemned the killings, calling them unprovoked and alien to the culture of Deltans. The governor extended his deepest condolences to the families of the slain soldiers, the Nigerian Army, and the armed forces as a whole. He vowed that the state government would take all necessary steps to apprehend the perpetrators and ensure they face justice. The governor urged Delta residents to remain calm and law-abiding, ensuring them that the state will continue to prioritize the safety and security of its citizens. And still with Delta, a spree of killings ensued between Okuama and Okoloba communities, both in Delta State, South Nigeria, leaving many civilians and military personnel dead. The commanding officer, 2 majors, and 13 soldiers have been reportedly killed by errant youths who are at loggerheads with one another over land disputes in 2 warring communities. The Vice President General of Okuama community, David Akata, has accused the Nigerian Army of invasion of the community, saying that the unknown gunmen who turned out to be Nigerian Army shot periodically at anyone in sight, leaving 3 indigents dead and several others injured. He disclosed that his community recorded 3 casualties with many others injured and houses set ablaze as the armed men in military uniforms wreaked havoc in Okuama community from a speedboat.
We wake up to meet a gunboat in our community, invaded the community, and everybody. My community, Okuama, invaded the community, Okuama, and everybody ran into the bush. And in the process, they wound some of our people. They wound some of our people by shooting them, and some were killed in the process. The number have not been able to find out till today. And our people, all of us, all the people have gone out of the town. Only for us to wake up this morning, we saw another group of gunboats from nowhere, either from Pamadi or from Wari, they came from to put fire in our village. So everybody now have also left the village. We are calling on the federal government to come to our aid right now. International community to come down. President Bola Tinubu, and we are begging you people, the state government, we are begging you people to come.
Away from that, but still in the Niger Delta region of Nigeria, some communities have called on the federal government to act against companies to clean up the areas polluted in the communities due to their oil exploration over the years. News Central's Ni Omoni tells us more.
Shell is considering leaving the oil-rich Niger Delta region of Nigeria. However, communities like the town of Ogale in Rivers State want Shell to address environmental issues before exiting.
I'm appealing to the wonderful shareholders of Shell all over the world.
Shell sold its onshore assets in Nigeria to a consortium. Over the years, oil spills from theft, vandalism, and operations have resulted in significant costs for Shell related to repairs and legal cases. Residents in Bayelsa State say the decades of oil exploration have damaged farms and rivers.
Nobody's growing any crops around there. There used to be farms around there. So the oil spill affected the host community in a way that we are yet to recover from.
These things has also caused the underground water in Ogale to be damaged because they are no longer using this thing again. So the underground water has spoiled.
Environmental groups are urging Nigerian authorities to ensure Shell safely dismantles old infrastructure or pays for its removal before leaving.
What Shell and ITO needs to do is to ensure that as they are divesting and the new owner is taking over, the issue of cleanup, remediation, and compensation, including pending court cases, are properly considered and addressed.
This is not the first time an oil company is divesting its assets. Just so happens because it's SPDC and the legacy that they have left or they're leaving the Niger Delta is simply not good.
Shell has long maintained that most spills are due to oil theft and interference with pipelines. When announcing a $2.4 billion sale, Shell stated that responsibilities for addressing liabilities would transfer to Renaissance, the buying consortium. While the Nigerian government has indicated it will not block the Shell deal, the head of the Nigerian Upstream Regulatory Commission said oil majors must demonstrate compliance with the commissioning rules before approval to exit. However, the regulator did not name Shell and declined to comment on compliance by Shell or other companies. In Lagos for News Central, Ni Omani.
The Africa Youth Development Foundation has condemned the kidnapping of over 200 school children from Kuriga in Kaduna State, including another 15 from Sokoto State. The foundation also expressed worry over the frequent abduction of children from schools in the country, saying they are eroding the gains made in the nation's educational sector. Idong Joseph has this report.
The kidnapping of over 280 school pupils in the Kuriga area of Kaduna State is the largest school abduction case in Nigeria. The incident, which occurred in Kaduna and Sokoto, represents the 17th attack on schools within a decade, which has raised concern of stakeholders. They said this is increasing the number of out-of-school children in the country and eroding the gains made in the educational sector.
Education is a building block of every society and a fundamental human right, as uneducated children can become willing tools in the hands of criminal and terrorist groups, now and even in future.
With the whereabouts of the kidnapped children yet to be determined, many Nigerians say they want their rescue as quick as possible.
We cannot allow this to become another Chibok situation. AYGF calls upon all key stakeholders, both nationally and internationally, to intervene and secure the safe return of the kidnapped children.
We appeal to the security agencies to do everything possible, including the government of Kaduna State, to do everything possible to rescue and bring back these young ones and their teachers.
Stakeholders also urged the government to take steps in addressing the root causes of kidnapping in Nigerian schools.
AYGF advocates for increased resources and support for vulnerable communities like Chikum, after targeted by kidnappers, as well as every community where schools exist in Nigeria. Revamping the Safe School initiative. The government must revisit its commitment to this initiative.
They are calling on government to live up to its responsibilities and ensure kidnapping becomes a thing of the past. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idong Joseph.
Still with education in Nigeria, the nation's Minister of State for Education has called for concerted efforts aimed at ending social vices among students. Now, this was made during the inauguration of a special committee for the campaign against social vices in secondary schools and tertiary institutions across the country. Our correspondent, Idong Joseph, has this report.
Studies have shown that some Nigerian students on campuses and in secondary schools exhibit different behaviors which do not only affect their performance, but also hinders the social growth and stability of the nation. Social vices such as substance abuse, cybercrime, cultism, rape, prostitution and sexual harassment, among others, present great concerns to parents, government and the society.
Vices are basing in character. It's based on your morality, it's based on your feature, it's based everything that can identify you as a human.
These vices cast a shadow over the brilliant and vibrant environment of our tertiary institution and hinder the development of our future leaders.
To help address and mitigate the effects of social vices on Nigeria's educational system, The federal government recently inaugurated a special committee for this purpose.
To the esteemed members of this committee, the weight of responsibility you carry is significant.
Some of the terms of reference of the committee include combat social biases among Nigerian students through comprehensive and collaborative approach. Also to raise awareness in promoting positive values and provide support to students.
The task before us is monumental, yet the potential impact of the future of our young generation and our nation is indeed transformative.
Expressing concern over the prevalence of social vices among youths, Nigeria's Minister of State for Education called for a review of student certification process.
The core values upon which we award our degree need to be looked critically and see how we can strengthen it. Basically, knowledge and character. But as of today, in the ministry, we are saying also skill has to be a component of it.
Advocates say while social vices threaten the moral fabric of the nation, they called for continuous efforts aimed at raising awareness on the dangers it poses to students. In Abuja for News Central, I am Idonk Joseph.
We move now to Nigeria's eastern part, where illegal child abduction is a major social menace in Abia State. It is a development that poses a challenge to both security agencies and the government. Now, in this report, News Central's Chinwe Ugule takes a look at the menace of illegal adoption and the need to check it.
Illegal child adoption is a thriving practice which involves supposedly orphanage homes harboring young teenage girls who got pregnant out of wedlock and seek protection outside their families. Upon delivery of the babies, the operators of some of these orphanages take them from their mothers and sell them to mystery buyers at the cost the parties agree on without the input of the biological mother, who ends up receiving a paltry sum from the deal. Section 126, subsection 1 of the Child Rights Act 2003 outlines the conditions and requirements potential parents must meet before approval can be given for adoption application. The age of the would-be parents, the consent or identification letters from the traditional ruler or local government chairman of the applicant, the sex and financial status of such a person must be tendered.
Adoption is a process. It demands a lot from the would-be parents, what they would do for them to say, yes, we have legally adopted a son or a daughter. There are things we demand from them, which by our culture here, we like making some things quite secret. We don't want people to know that that baby I'm carrying, I'm not the biological mother or whatever. So you find out that they won't come out open to involve others. Why the ministry will want them to involve others.
Abia State in 2006 domesticated the Child Rights Act, yet some citizens brazenly disregard its dictates and conduct adoptions as the normal buying and selling of commodities. In some cases, these orphanage homes are just fronts for baby factories.
These homes are not registered with the ministry. They will put up a signboard claiming that they are part of the ministry, but most of them invariably are not part of the ministry. Because you come to us here, you will not find them registered anywhere. And then some will be registered. You give them terms of reference and they will operate outside those terms of reference that are given to them.
Recently, the Abia State Police Command rescued some 16 teenage girls from such an outfit in Aba and arrested suspects. The Deputy Governor's wife, Chidera Emetu, visited the rescued victims at the Women Development Center, Umahia, and Specialist Hospital, Amachara, on behalf of the Governor's wife, with the assurance to rehabilitate the girls.
Governor Alex Oti will see to it, because this is not the first time something like this is happening. This is actually the second. And these particular suspects, the courts, they are going to have it hard and difficult so that whoever is thinking of doing something like this again will think twice before executing such.
I will be, if government can help me with some money, I will use the money to find something and do for myself.
I used to break kernel and go and sell in the market, and I will help myself for that.
Anyone who wishes to adopt a child must do so within the ambit of the law of the state, as the only proof of adoption in Nigeria is a stamped or sealed certified true copy of a registered adoption. In Umuahia for News Central, Chinwe Ugele.
And you're watching news now on News Central TV. We'll go on a short break. We'll be back after this. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. We'll continue in the southwest of Nigeria, the nation's capital of commerce, and that's Lagos State, where the government has on Sunday launched the Onje Eco food markets, offering discounted prices on essential food items across the state. Now, the markets will offer Lagos residents a 25% discount on staple food items like rice, beans, garri, bread, eggs, tomatoes, and pepper. Now, the State Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho, disclosed this in a statement. The markets will be open at 27 locations in Ikeja, 6 in Lagos Island, 9 in Ikorodu, 5 in Ekpe, and 10 in Badagry divisions. Move away from that now, as the Middle Belt Patriots, a prominent advocacy group, has raised strong objections to the federal government's recent proposal for state governors to allocate land for herders. Now, in a statement released on Saturday, the group commended, or rather condemned, the directive, expressing concern that it would worsen the already volatile security situation in the Middle Belt region. The Middle Belt has been plagued by violent clashes between farmers and herders, with some herder groups accused of affiliation with armed militias. Now, the group fears that allocating more land for grazing could further inflame these tensions. The statement, signed by Director of Media and Strategic Communications, Stephen Kefas, accuses the federal government of prioritizing herder interest at the expense of indigenous populations. About 150 houses were destroyed by windstorm that ravaged residents of Jirang in Mayo Belwa local government area of Adamawa State. Now, according to the victims, the windstorm started at about 2 p.m. on Saturday, which culminated into rains which damaged rooftops and walls of block. Now, a veterinarian student who lamented his ordeal said he was on his way to his usual evening exercise when he was called. Now, while revealing the extent of damage, the state lawmaker representing Nasarawa Jingrang Biyari at the Adamawa House of Assembly, Babangida Junda, says his immediate task is to present the problem to his colleagues at the floor of the House of Assembly.
The windstorm has ravaged the community. It's ravaged almost 150 houses. Livelihoods are destroyed, and houses are destroyed, and some people were injured. So in fact, it's a disaster. It's a disaster. There is no break. So it directly affects the distance. So I want to encourage the community, and honestly, I want to, as a matter of fact, meet with the Accuses. I want to meet with the coordinator of Akata to be able to see how we can be able to come into the community and then see how we can partner with the community to bring about afforestation, so that we can have trees that can serve as windbreaks, so that we don't have, so that this thing doesn't occur again.
I'll take you back now to Onje Food Market, where our correspondent Bettina Nweli is live right there at the market. Bettina, hey, can you hear me? Are you there?
Yes, I can hear you. Good afternoon, Judith.
Good afternoon. So let's get started. Where are you at the moment, and what is the situation of things right now?
Okay, at the moment I'm at Kuramo Primary School, which is one of the centers for the Onje Eco Market here in Victoria Island. Initially, we went to the first stop that we had that was opposite Eco Hotel. That is the primary school there at Bishop Memorial Primary School, opposite Eco Hotel, and they hadn't started at all. We've been here for over an hour now. While we have some vendors who are already here setting up, we also have agents who are supposed to sell vouchers to the people for them to purchase whatever they want from the market. And we also have people seated and waiting. In fact, we've met them waiting here, but till now, the process has not started. Now, the excuse that we were given are that some vendors are caught up in traffic coming from Mile 12 markets. And because majority of the foodstuff that is to be purchased here hasn't gotten here, so they've decided not to start. But shortly before we came up live, we heard some people saying, why don't you start with what you have? Because people are getting tired of waiting in the heat and will probably begin to leave any moment from now. So basically, that is the situation on ground. For now, we have vendors that are selling eggs, we have vendors that are selling bread, we have vendors that are selling pepper and onion as well as rice. But those are the only vendors that we have that are on ground here at this venue where we are right now.
Right, so staple foods, eggs, pepper, tomatoes, just the staples. Would you say that the prices are cheap when compared to, with other markets that we know?
Well, the prices are quite viable, if you ask me. What Lagos State is trying to do is to give a 25% discount off original market prices. So, for instance, if you are buying 5 kilogram of beans, 5 kg of beans at 8,000 plus, here in this market, you'll be able to purchase it at 6,000 plus. That's almost 2,000 naira difference from what you would obtain in the regular market.
Bettina, well done. I know that the sun is blazing and it's still going to get hotter, but we'll come back to you. Just hang in there. All right, we'll move now to the northeast of Nigeria, and this time health matters, where over 240 clinicians, including medical doctors, nurses, midwives, and community health extension workers, have undergone intensive training on basic mental health care in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe states. Now, this initiative by the World Health Organization and European Union aims to equip frontline health care workers with the necessary skills to effectively manage mental health issues among meningitis patients and prevent further casualties. News Centre's Umaru Kirawa completes this report.
27 reported deaths attributed to meningitis in Nigeria's Yobe state alone in recent weeks. This joint effort underscores the urgent need for coordinated action to curb the outbreak and safeguard public health in the northeast region.
Mental health and psychosocial support is one of the pillars of response for the cerebrospinal meningitis. And I believe this particular group of clinicians that are trained will also be able to provide basic psychosocial counseling to, of course, some of the family that have lost their loved ones in the event of the CSM outbreak.
In the face of the deadly outbreak, it is important to ensure that clinicians are able to provide holistic care, taking into consideration not only the physical symptoms, but also the mental health implications.
It is a big challenge in the whole world, more especially here in Nigeria, as we are going into this hard situation, because you see a lot of people, they cannot even have 3 square meals. It affects them psychologically.
So when you're talking of the causes, there is heredity. Drugs and alcohol can equally bring about mental disorder. Stress can bring about mental disorder.
The selected healthcare workers in Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe State were equipped with how to handle the challenges posed by mental health, among others.
I believe the participants will be better equipped and skilled to be able to early identify mental health disorders that I've mentioned, provide basic or initial care to the patient, and of course be able to early refer to secondary health care.
This joint initiative by the WHO and EU is just a step in the wider effort to manage mental health-related cases. The training program aims to not only equip healthcare workers with the prerequisite skills to provide immediate care, but also to build resilience within the affected communities. In Yobe State for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Submarine cable company Main One says it may take up to 2 weeks to repair undersea cable cut which disrupted internet services in Nigeria, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal and other West African and East African countries since Thursday. The company said the cause of the network outage was as a result to a fault on the Main One network. Preliminary findings and further investigations revealed that the fault occurred due to an external incident that resulted in a cut on the submarine cable system in the Atlantic Ocean offshore Cote d'Ivoire along the coast of West Africa. You're still watching news now. Coming up, Senegal's opposition takes presidential campaign to the south. We have details after the break. Join us again. Welcome back. The news continues in West Africa, where in the lead up to Senegal's presidential elections, the charismatic opposition leader Ousmane Sonko and his coalition's chosen candidate Bassirou Diomaye Faye made a grand entrance in the southern region of the country on Saturday, arousing passion among supporters. Hundreds of supporters gathered to welcome Ousmane Sonko and Faye as they embarked on their campaign journey in the vibrant Casamance region. Sonko, who was barred from running himself, has put his support behind Faye, endorsing him as the flag bearer for their coalition in the upcoming elections. Now, with less than 2 weeks remaining until the pivotal vote, the political landscape in Senegal grows increasingly charged.
Ce qui doit avoir à Dakar, ça doit avoir à Thiès. Ce qui doit avoir à Thiès, ça doit avoir ici au Ziguinchor. C'est ça qu'on veut. On veut tous les biens du Sénégal ce soir sera partagé par nous tous. Voilà. Mon rêve, c'est ça, d'aider les personnes. Et pour aider les personnes, tu dois travailler pour ça. Et s'il n'y a pas le travail, tu ne peux pas aider personne. Et c'est pour cela que je suis là pour aider Ousmane Sonko. S'il change le pays, je pourrai être l'homme que je rêve d'être.
Dans notre pays, on a des richesses ici au Sénégal, mais le Sénégal, me semble qu'on ne bouge pas. C'est comme vous avez une voiture neuve et qui ne bouge pas. C'est ça. Je n'ai jamais eu une conviction envers un politicien à part Ousmane Sonko. Vraiment, je ne sais pas de quoi je vais vous expliquer comment j'ai eu la conviction envers cette leader.
Ajustement d'essai.
Ah, bien sûr. Bon, on le souhaite vraiment, mais on a confiance aussi. Voilà, qu'après Macky Sall, la Casamance va développer. Parce qu'on a tellement beaucoup de potentiel, mais par contre, tout n'est pas développé. Et aussi, ils n'ont pas mis ce qu'ils devaient mettre. Parce que la Casamance, c'est une vitrine du Sénégal. C'est comme si tu nous parles de Maroc, de Cap-Vert, mais par contre, il n'y a pas un potentiel qu'ils ont mis dedans pour investir la Casamance. Mais la Casamance seulement, bon.
Niger's government has announced its decision to end military cooperation agreement with the United States effective immediately. Now, this comes just days after a high-level U.S. delegation visited the country in an attempt to rebuild relations with the ruling junta. The junta, which took power in July 2023 coup, has been increasingly critical of Western influence and has shown interest in closer ties with Russia. The U.S. State Department acknowledged the move but expressed concern about the junta's direction. Now, while the U.S. maintains roughly 1,000 troops stationed at a drone base in Niger, their operations have been restricted since the coup. Now, this latest development further strains relations between the two countries. And now we head to East Africa, where South Sudan's Health Minister Yolanda Awel-Dang has announced the closure of all schools as temperatures soar to unprecedented levels, reaching between 41 to 45 degrees Celsius. Addressing reporters in the capital, Juba, she emphasized the urgency of the situation. Now, Minister Awel highlighted the severe health risks associated with heat waves, citing cases of heat-related deaths already reported across the country. Meanwhile, the Environment Ministry has issued a warning alerting the public to the potential health hazards posed by extreme heat. Undersecretary Patel urged developed nations to reduce emissions, emphasizing the urgent need to global cooperation to mitigate the impact of climate change. And in North Africa, Tunisian authorities have announced that they had thwarted 17 irregular migration operations and rescued 587 migrants of sub-Saharan African nationalities and Tunisians who were able or about to cross the maritime border towards Europe. Now, the Tunisian National Guard said in a statement that the naval units of the National Guard in Sfax region were able to thwart 14 crossings of the maritime border and rescue 544 passersby, including 4 Tunisians. The authorities were also able to arrest 10 wanted persons, including organizers and mediators, in addition to seizing 2 boats, 2 rubber boats, 13 marine engines, a light truck, and a motorcycle used for transportation. The European Union is reportedly set to announce a significant financial package for Egypt during a high-level visit this weekend. According to reports, the EU delegation led by European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen will unveil a 7.4 billion euros, and that's about $8.1 billion US dollars support package aimed at bolstering the Egyptian economy. Now, this unprecedented visit also marks a historic moment in EU-Egypt relations with the signing of a first-ever agreement elevating their partnership to a comprehensive strategic level. European diplomats' sources highlight the strategic importance of Egypt, the largest and a key pillar of stability in the region. This development underscores a broader EU commitment to strengthening its relationship with Egypt. And you're watching News Now. Still ahead, Putin set to rule for 6 more years. Find out more after the break. Join us again. And welcome back. Residents of Caracas have expressed divided opinions regarding Venezuela's presidential elections. President Nicolas Maduro will seek a 3rd term in July 28 elections after 11 years in office marked by sanctions, economic collapse, and accusations of widespread repression.
El de ahorita no, porque ya llevan, qué sé yo, más de 10 años en el poder, no han hecho nada. Siguen igual, entonces necesitamos un cambio para lo mejor.
Ya el tiempo que él tiene, ya tú mandas, ya tiene que darle chance a otro y que rinda las condiciones, ¿me entiendes? Porque lo que no hiciste en todos estos años no lo va a hacer ahora, ¿me entiendes?
Pero, o sea, ya viendo hacia el pasado, por así decirlo, diría que va a ser lo mismo de siempre. O sea, otra vez vuelve a ganar el gobierno, vuelve a pasar lo mismo de todo el tiempo y seguimos en la misma.
El partido y el Congreso del partido no ha anunciado, bueno, la decisión del Poder Popular, que no es otra que Nicolás para el 28 de julio, hermano. Más nada, por mayoría abrumadora. Esa es una realidad, voce. Y es una...
Maduro le ha echado un camión. Maduro, a pesar de todo lo que nos ha pasado, las sanciones, del COVID, Maduro siempre estuvo ahí presente, siempre ha estado ahí como un role, a pesar de que la gente no lo ve así, pero Maduro ha estado allí y sigue apoyándonos, aunque la gente no lo vea, él nos sigue apoyando. Y el acto de hoy fue demasiado hermoso. Y hoy,
Russian President Vladimir Putin is poised to extend nearly a quarter century of rule for 6 more years on Sunday after wrapping up an election that gave voters no real alternatives to an autocrat who has ruthlessly cracked down on dissent. The three-day election that began Friday has taken place in a tightly controlled environment where no public criticism of Putin or his war in Ukraine is allowed. Putin's fiercest political foe, Alex Navalny, died in an Arctic prison last month, and other critics are either in jail or in exile. The 71-year-old Russian leader faces three token rivals from Kremlin's friendly parties who have refrained from any criticism of his 24-year rule or his full-scale invasion of Ukraine 2 years ago. And in Colombia, the citizens divided over President Gustavo Petro's proposal to change the constitution after Congress refused to approve some of his ambitious reforms in a clash that has led to numerous protests. Now, some citizens believe the lawmakers are forcing him to toe this lane, while others believe that the constitution should not be changed.
Entonces, yo creo que habría que llegar más bien a un acuerdo hablado con las personas también del Congreso que también pongan de su parte y entre ambos encontrar como un medio, un común acuerdo, porque si lo que se busca es modificar la Constitución, pues claramente no estaría bien.
A eso lo obligaron a él lo obligaron a hacerlo como está proponiendo ahorita, aunque él había jurado que no, pero lo están obligando porque la gente pues de la ultraderecha está intentando hacer eso, en vez de ser inteligentes y trabajar de la mano para sacar todas las cosas buenísimas que ha hecho el gobierno de Petro. No lo quieren dejar trabajar, entonces pues...
Ok, sí, claro, el Congreso no va a aprobar algo que a ellos no les convenga, pensaría yo. Y hay cosas que realmente hay que reformar en el país para limitar tanta corrupción, tantas cosas que han venido empobreciendo nuestro país. Entonces, sí hay que hacer cambios y sí sería bueno.
¿Y qué va a pasar ahora? Que simplemente por una imponencia viene, coloca lo que le conviene y qué va a hacer de todos nosotros que estamos en este país.
We turn our focus now to the Israel-Gaza war as protesters have gathered on Kampla Street in Tel Aviv, Israel, and marched towards the Ministry of Defense calling for a hostage deal. Hundreds blocked the main highway of Tel Aviv and were evacuated by mounted police and water cannons.
תראי, יש לנו עכשיו ראש ממשלה שכל מה שמעניין הוא זה השרידות שלו, הוא רוצה להישאר. הוא לא ימין, הוא לא שמאל, הוא רק רוצה להישאר. וממש לא אכפת לו, לא מאיתנו ולא מאלה שתומכים בו, פשוט לא אכפת. ואני מקווה שיהיו בחירות, וכשיהיו בחירות אנחנו נגיד את מה שיש לנו להגיד. ואולי נתחיל לצמוח מחדש. אני לדעתי אם זה ימשיך אנחנו לקראת הסוף. לא תהיה מדינה. אין לנו עתיד, אם זה ימשיך ככה.
Let's join our business desk now for today's business news.
The Nigerian federal government's decision to halt the implementation of the expatriate employment levy has garnered commendation from prominent private sector advocacy groups, including the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises. The move is praised for addressing widespread concerns within the business community and reassuring international partners of Nigeria's commitment to fostering a favorable business environment. Stakeholders appreciate the government's responsiveness to public feedback and anticipate improved relations between the government and the private sector, potentially enhancing investor confidence and facilitating smoother business operations. The Kenyan Treasury is urging financial sector regulators in the country to enhance revenue collections to offset the budget funding shortfall for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. Principal Secretary Chris Kiptoo met with CEOs from the Insurance Regulatory Authority, Capital Markets Authority, and Retirement Benefits Authority to discuss strategies for increasing government revenue. These regulators annually collect substantial sums through levies, license fees and fines, resulting in significant surpluses remitted to the Treasury. For instance, the Insurance Regulatory Authority collected 2.3 billion Kenyan shillings in premium levy, exceeding the required remittance of 1.1 billion Kenyan shillings. This initiative comes amid a decline in transfers from other government agencies, exacerbating budgetary challenges for the fiscal year. We also tell you that the Kenyan National Treasury is contemplating imposing a 16% value-added tax on bread and milk to bolster revenue collections. Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Odongo argues that the current zero-rated VAT structure fails to adequately assist targeted poor households and primarily benefits the middle class. Zero-rated goods like bread and milk are typically essential items exempted from VAT to make them more accessible to lower-income consumers. Additionally, the Kenya Revenue Authority recently introduced e-Teams Lite to streamline tax compliance in the informal sector, rescinding exemptions for small businesses with turnovers below 5 million Kenyan shillings, that's about $36,363, from invoicing requirements. JP Morgan Chase & Co.'s global head of commodities research predicts gold to reach $2,500 per ounce this year, citing market enthusiasm and potential Federal Reserve policy shifts. Natasha Kaniva highlighted the importance of continued moderation in inflation and job numbers, along with confirmation of Fed rate cuts. The Fed's anticipated move towards looser monetary policy is expected to bolster gold's allure against yield-bearing assets like bonds. Policymakers emphasize the need for evidence of inflation nearing its 2% target before considering interest rate reductions, underpinning gold's potential surge amid economic uncertainty.
In the world of sports, Nigeria's Sports Minister John Eno has charged 54 athletes representing Team Nigeria in the athletics events to light up the tracks and make Nigeria proud. Senator Eno expressed his confidence in the team's ability to do exploits at the event, urging them to maintain their pursuit of excellence and dominance, particularly over rivals like Egypt. Leading the charge for Nigeria, a world 100-meter hurdles record holder, Tobiloba Amoson, Sheyi Ruth Usoro Enoch Adegoke, Sheyi Ogunlewa, Alaba Akintola, and Favor Ofili. Now, the athletics events begin on Monday at the University of Ghana Sports Complex. A total of 25 Kenyan marathoners will take to the track at the Seoul Marathon course with hopes of finishing among the top 8. The elite category has attracted 141 runners, with 53 from outside South Korea and 88 being domestic elites. Kenya's and Ethiopians headline the field with 17 runners from the former and 8 from the latter. The prize money for the male winner who crosses the finish line under 2 hours 5 minutes is approximately 14 million Kenya shilling, while the woman who wins under 2 hours 19 minutes walks away with the same amount. Ghana's coach Otto Addo has included former Orlando Pirates and Chippa United goalkeeper Fatwa Dauda and former Santos and Middlesbrough United defender John Pencil alongside Joseph Luhmann as part of his team to take charge of the Black Stars. Addo and his team are to take over the reins permanently in May, but would take charge of friendlies against Nigeria and Uganda in Morocco this month, having led Ghana at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Otto Addo has been tasked with taking the Black Stars to the 2026 finals in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Governor Oboriwori have condemned the brutal killing of soldiers in Delta State as tensions remain high. Extreme heat wave has forced schools closure in South Sudan. And finally, we told you that Tunisian authorities have foiled multiple illegal migration attempts and rescued 587 immigrants. Now remember that you can send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And make sure to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch the News Central TV channel live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV.